Hey, hey, Happy New Year. Let me double check and make sure that we are live. I see myself in the group. Sure. There we go. Ooh, I see someone else too. Make sure when you come in, you say hi because I can't see who's on. It's not like Zoom in that way, but I can see your comments. So we are going to talk about the new year. I was updating my freebie. There we go. I was updating my freebies library, which is where I keep all of my freebies, free templates, free everything, to include my tracking worksheet updated for 2023. So, hey, okay, now I see someone watching. Make sure when you come in and say, or come in to watch, say hi. This is a live coaching, meaning that I am happy to talk to myself if that's what I need to do. If y'all are too shy to say anything, if you're watching in the replay, make sure to type replay in the comments so that I know. Hold on, my glasses are dirty. Do I have any other glasses wearers? I want to talk today about the new year, but not in the way that most people do. So come in, say hi in the chat. Let me know what you do. Wave, hello. I feel like there is so much content that comes in the new year and people are just trying to like stuff it down your throat. I cannot even tell you how many ads for planners and New Year stuff that I have seen in my feed. It's a little overwhelming. It's kind of a little sensory, like, as you come in, make sure to say hi in the comments so that I can see you. If you're watching on YouTube, come on over and join us in the community on Facebook, which is boldwithbrooke.com/community. And that is where you can interact and leave comments. And I'm just going to refresh this one real quick because sometimes it doesn't show me the comments. And of course, now it's not working. There we go. Okay, so make sure to say hi when you come in. We're going to talk about New Year stuff. Like I was saying, it tends to be very overwhelming. And just for reference, you guys, like I have seriously stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of planners. Okay, I love planners. You give me planners, and look, this is my new little fancy colored pen holder that I take everywhere with me when I'm using my planner. Okay, I'm a dork. Yes. Hey, Catherine. So don't get me wrong, I love planners. I do. And I love the new year. I love the turning of the page, the symbolism behind it. Although you guys know I do a 90-day year. So New Year is not necessarily, it's not like New Year, New You. But it can be really, really, really overwhelming. And even I love it. And I have my words, literally, I have them made every year. So when I do a new word for the year, I have them made every year. And they're super pretty and I love them. But it's a lot. And we all kind of set ourselves up for these things. And we're like, oh my gosh, and this year I'm going to reach this goal and I'm going to lose this weight. And I'm going to, for me, I'm trying to eat breakfast or to actually eat before like 3:00 in the afternoon. And there can be so much going on. Let me know in the comments if you can relate or if I'm the only weirdo who gets kind of weirded out by all this stuff. Because for me, it can be really, really overwhelming. So say hi in the comments when you come in. I can see you watching. It's always funny when you see someone watching, but you don't know who it is. Let me know if you get a little overwhelmed with the new year too, and you're excited about the possibilities. And yes, there is a level of enjoyment with possibility. I love it. That's why I do a 12-week year. You guys have heard me talk about that, the 90-day year. But there is just a lot. There's a lot of planning. There's a lot of things that you want to do. And we're going to go through the linear calendar thing again as well. I'm not sure when. Maybe we'll do it next week. because that linear calendar is how I plan my entire year. And I know that it seems overwhelming to do that upfront too. And I get that. But at the same time, that gives me the opportunity to include all of the things that I really, really, really want to include in my year, not only my business, but in my personal life as well. So I'm going to post the link to the podcast episode that has that linear calendar and that year and how I use it. It also has the YouTube video as well. So that will give you kind of an idea of how I plan. And we're going to do that possibly together because I haven't done it yet. But it gives me the opportunity to plan travel and to plan, like last year we had my son's graduation, which is a lot. It's a lot of events, it's a lot of appointments, it's a lot of commitments. So that gives me the chance to plan. But sometimes we can let that New Year energy take us away and get us all excited and all the things we're going to do. And oh my gosh, we're going to do this and this and this. Hey, Shelly. Thank you. This is like one of my most favorite winter hats. And we get super excited about everything that we want to do. And that's not a bad thing. What's funny is some of my students will say, I get so excited for the new year. And then I beat myself up about that because then I remember that I don't actually do those things. And first, I want to say that that is not a source of shame, you guys. It's okay to get excited for the new year. It's okay to be excited about the possibilities and about changes and about looking at the things that we want to do in our lives and our goals and all of these big picture things that we want to do. That's a beautiful thing. But I also want to encourage you to look at what has been working and focus on that moving forward. So there's this idea of the Pareto principle where 20% of your efforts give you 80% of your results. So for instance, if you are marketing and you're doing a marketing plan and you have like 5 different marketing things, chances are that one of them will work really, really well. And you're kind of spinning your wheels on the other 4. And I know that that sucks to hear because you're like, but I want all of them to work. And I do too. And all of them might work sometimes. But a lot of times what we find is that 20% of our effort gives us 80% of our results. And we can see that in our personal lives too, right? We can see that we change one particular habit and that will set us up for success in so many other things. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. What is the one thing that we can focus on and amplify that? So let me know in the comments what some of your goals are for the year. And if you want to share revenue goals, that's awesome. If not, that's okay too. I will share with you that 500,000 is my goal as far as revenue. And my brain, my money blocks, everything comes in right around 200,000. My brain is like, oh yeah, I don't know about that. And so I've been working on that a lot. And that is one of my goals for the year. I also made a goal years ago that I started doing in 2020 of all years. Oh, no, 2021, where I take a trip with each one of my kids every year. And this is individual. It's just me and them. And it's not always a fancy trip. Like sometimes it's big, sometimes it's not. Sometimes we just go to the mountains, but that's really important to me. Family is one of my core values. And so that is one of my goals. Your goals do not always have to be monetary revenue. I mean, yes, making revenue in a business is the bottom line as to whether your business is successful. Otherwise, it's just a hobby. That's not my rule. That's the IRS. But your goals can include so many things. One of my goals I have on my vision board, which is just over my monitor. So if you see me looking up, that's why. I want to have a group of friends locally because a lot of my friends are kind of spread out all over the country and I adore them and they're amazing. But I really want to have that local group where we go to brunch once a month. That's on my vision board. There are certain podcasts that I want to be a guest on. That's on my vision board. I want to, let me see, I'm going to swim with whale sharks this year. That's on my vision board. I've been talking about that with one of my friends. So we have lots of things that we want to do. I want to change my backyard. And none of these things is business related. Notice, okay? Because the revenue that we make in our business just serves our lives. And if it's the other way around, if your life is serving your business, that's a problem. Because we need to make sure that our lives include a much grander scheme. And that's not to say that you can't work a ton, you can't, hustle, be constantly on. If that's your thing, you do you. But I will say that most people require rest. And most people need that downtime, need time that they're not necessarily working all the time. Now, this is also dependent on what stage of business you're in as well. And I just want to put this out there. I'm going to do a podcast episode on this coming up because hustle culture is real, where there's people are just like, you just have to put your nose down and get it done and do 27 social media posts a day. And that's how you're going to be successful. And that is a thing. And I'm not saying that doesn't work, but man, it's exhausting. But at the front end of your business, you might have to do that. I used to work 60 to 80 hours a week in the beginning of my business. I don't recommend that. Can you grow without that? Yes. Work smarter, not harder, right? But I want to encourage you to grow your business in a way that works for you and define success for what that means for you. Do you need $1 million in revenue to be successful? No. Do you want to have maybe 200,000 in revenue and 4 days off a week to be successful? Maybe that's your idea of success. Your idea of success is yours and yours alone, and you get to make the rules. You run the business, you make the rules. So let's circle back to the one thing. There is probably one thing that you do in your business that you have noticed that when you do it consistently, you see a big difference. Now, for everyone that's different. I am not a big Instagram person, but a lot of people will say, if I do a reel a day on Instagram, I really see those inquiries go up and I start to book more clients. Some people might say TikTok. Some people might say email. Some people might say SEO. Those are my jams. But most people have one thing in their business that they know that if they do that one thing, they will see the results that they want to see. Now, it could be that one thing is exhausting though. It's really hard to be on all the time. One of my biggest accomplishments for 2022, which is hilarious because it was not my biggest revenue year ever. But I still met my revenue goals overall. And I took 4 months off. And I consider that a huge accomplishment. Because I had family stuff I had to take care of. I lost my brother. I took a 2.5 week trip to Europe with my family, all 4 of us. There are things that I had to take care of and goals that I had already planned for. So we have to consider what is the one thing that if we do consistently in our business, we will see the results that we want to see. On top of that, if that one thing is pretty draining, how can you do that in a way that it's pre-recorded and scheduled or automated? Kind of overlapping there. Pre-recorded and scheduled and automated, all the same thing. Excuse me. Or how can you have someone else take it over for you? So for an example, let's say Instagram is your jam, and that is something that you really want to be consistent on. You're going to do a reel a day. How can you pre-record a ton of reels in one day? This is something I am not good at. I'm trying to get better about it. I'm really good at doing the posts and stuff, but not the video. And how can you pre-record a ton of those? I will tell you, there are a ton of studios popping up in cities around the nation that are literally just digital creator studios. So you go in with the intent, you bring in like 20 outfits or whatever, and you just create a ton of videos, one right after the other. That is something I'm learning, not so good at that yet. But how can you set yourself up for success so that they are pre-recorded? And you guys know I'm a big fan of batching content. Maybe it's blogging. I know, old school, right? Blogging. But maybe you know that when you blog consistently, you start to see the traffic on your website go up and your inquiries go up. So what does that look like for you? How can you blog consistently without having to be on all the time? How can you pre-batch this content so that you do it ahead of time? Let's talk about email. As you guys know, I sell email templates. Like a lot of email templates. I even have an email 101 course. If you are a part of my Bold Marketing Academy, which is my membership community, you get access to all of my email templates. How, now it is staggered, I will say you don't get them all up front, but how can you implement that? How can you write emails ahead of time so that you don't have to be on all the time, but it's still consistent? For my business, on the teaching side, podcast is something that I have to be consistent about. And if I'm being completely transparent with y'all, I really, really struggle with that because I put so much into it. I think I need to scale that back a little bit. I think hour-long episodes are a little too long. I've been working on shorter ones, and I lost my voice for about a month last year. Towards the end of the year in November, I got super sick. I had pneumonia at all. It was a huge trauma. But for that reason, I literally could not record podcasts. Like it wasn't going to happen. And it was, I wouldn't say a wake-up call, but it was definitely a time of reflection to say, maybe I need to do this in a different way. Because I really, really, really love that format of content, but I can't do it on the level that I had been. So how can I look at that in a different way? When it comes to the photography side of my business, anyone service-based, my creative ladies out there, what is it that you do that works really, really well? Do you go live in your group once a week? Do you even have a group? Do you hate your group and you resent it every time you have to show up there, and so you don't want to do it anymore? Can we let that go? Is there another form of marketing that we can do consistently? Just one, just pick one so that you can see the results from that. I think especially with marketing is this huge umbrella, right? Like we've talked about this before. So under marketing, there's social media and email and ads and SEO and website. And like there's all of these little trickle down things under this big umbrella. And especially for marketing, I think it gets to be extremely overwhelming for a lot of business owners. So I want to ask you, what is the one thing that you can focus on? And let's just do it. Let's do it for 12 weeks. Excuse me. So 3 months. What can you commit to for 12 weeks or 3 months that you know you will start to see some results in your business? One thing though, one thing. I'm not talking about posting to 27 different social networks. I'm talking about one thing, one. Let's stop the overwhelm and focus on one thing. Because that one thing could mean the difference between meeting our goals and just barely missing them. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you can relate, if you get overwhelmed with all of the New Year stuff. I don't have my word for 2023 yet, but I have all of my cutouts here. So we got limitless, got action, we've got audacious, got luminance, and over there on my wall, I have dauntless too. So all my little words that I like to put up around my office, I just order them on Etsy for anyone that's wondering. They're just cutouts. It's like $10. They're not expensive. But let me know in the comments, what is one thing that you can work on in your business consistently for the next 12 weeks? And you know what? I want to hold you to that. Now, if you're like, Brooke, I don't even know what's been working in my business, so I don't know how to share it, or how to commit to that. Let me get the link for my analytics. Okay. There is, I don't know if you know this, I have a freebie library that has all of my freebies because I was getting overwhelmed with trying to tell people where to go to get each individual one. And so instead of doing that, I just put them all in one place. And I just put the link into the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to come to Facebook at boldwithbrooke.com/community. This is my freebie library. Now, the reason that I'm sending you there is because the analytics and tracking worksheet that is available in that library, I just updated today. It is updated for 2023. It is literally the same metrics measurement worksheet that I use for my own business. Okay. You'll see that it's broken down by week. Let me share my screen. Excuse me. Okay, so we're going to share the screen. Let me know in the comments if you can see that. Okay, pretty please. Because I want to make sure that it's sharing properly. So this is the analytics worksheet that I use. I fill it out every single Monday. I count the numbers from Tuesday to Monday. So this one is the 9th. So I count it the 3rd through the 9th because we got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is 7 days. So we're going to count it the 3rd through the 9th. And this gives me an idea of where I'm at every single week. Sometimes it's hard to look at. Sometimes it's not where I want it to be. But a lot of times I look at it, and especially if you're having a day where you feel kind of crappy and you're like, everything is failing. We've all had those days where we are crying in the corner of our office and just want to burn it all down. We've all had those days. You are not alone in that. So before you light a match, I want you to go back and look at your worksheet and say, oh, I did grow. I grew a lot. My Instagram grew by like 500% last year. I would have never known that because really, you don't look at it and see, oh, I got this many followers. Look at that. Like you just look and see what you don't have, right? There's a book about this called The Gap versus the Gain, or The Gap and the Gain. And we're going to do that in book club soon. Spoiler alert, it's coming back. And that is something that we all do. We look at, oh, I'm only at 3,000 followers instead of 10,000 followers. Sorry, you're going to hear my dog. We look at, oh, I only have like this many people seeing my emails, or this open rate on my emails, not this open rate. And instead of looking at the growth that we've had, we look at what we don't have. And that can really set us up for some mind games, right? Some negative shit in our head. So that's part of why I measure this. At the end of every quarter, I move the quarter down. So I just literally select, cut, and paste it down at the bottom under done. That's it. This is the worksheet that I use. I look at my list size, and you can change all of these different options to track what you want to track. For instance, maybe you really reach out to people on LinkedIn. Why is it that as soon as you're talking, like your dog has to come in and scratch themselves? Stop it. If you really want to track LinkedIn, you can put LinkedIn here instead of Pinterest. You can put, you take out the TikTok. Maybe you want to track certain things. This is where you actually track results. Okay. And there is no emotions in this number. It's just a number. It doesn't mean you suck. It doesn't mean you're a terrible person. It doesn't mean you're a bad business owner. It is literally just a number. This is where we're going to see what is actually working for your business and what isn't. The proactive dashboard down at the bottom, these are things that I want to do every single week. And again, everyone's will be different. This is what I'm talking about with one thing. If you can only fill out one thing, if you have only number one right here, what is that one thing going to be? Are you reaching out to past clients? I heard Sue Bryce say something once, I don't know, one of her creative lives a long time ago, and it really hit me. She said, if you cannot call your past clients and say, hey, we'd love to have you back in the studio, then you didn't do something correctly. And you need to look at your process. We should all be able to contact our past clients and say, hey, we would love to have you back. And I'll tell you right now, my model calls are almost always past clients, almost always, which I love because A, they know my pricing already. I don't have to prime them for that. And B, I've already worked with them. We have a ton of fun. I know a little bit about them. They know a little bit about me, and we have a ton of fun. So this is something that I want to do every week. Connect with a partner business. This is part of my boudoir marketing course. If you do not have that marketing course, you need to be in Bold Marketing Academy, which is at boldmarketingacademy.com. If you don't know what I'm talking about, and you're like, what the hell does that mean, Brooke? Attend networking events. So this kind of switched, this kind of changed around a little bit with COVID, but I really miss it. I think if I'm being completely honest, I just really miss my friends in the wedding industry. But I do enjoy networking events, and I feel like they're starting to come back. So that is an option, something that I want to track. You'll see it says once a month instead of once a week, because that would be a lot. One blog post a week. I'm way behind on this, admittedly. And one email broadcast a week. These are the things that I want to do. This is my proactive dashboard. These are the things that I want to do every single week. And you know where else this really comes in handy is when I am in the thick of it in a week that I don't want to do anything. And I think this is especially common with ADD. I'm like, I don't want to do anything. My brain is like, ooh, snow, fog. And that's all it can focus on. Then this gives me a roadmap. Because I know that if I can at least do these 5 things, I'll be in a good place. Let me stop sharing my screen somewhere. Zoom changed everything. Have you guys noticed that? Oh, no. Stop share. There we go. So this is the actual system that I use in my own business. There is no special like code here. There is no super special awesome trick. That is the dashboard that I use for my own business. Every single week, it's updated. Now, when I had my team, which I have not had for a couple of years now, they would actually update that as well. And so that dashboard is an opportunity for me to have them update, and then I can just go in and see the data. Karina said, do you feel like some marketing is better over another depending on your niche? Examples, is blogging better for wedding photography and maybe Instagram for Facebook? I do think so. However, I would say I think blogging is kind of the odd man out there. And the reason is that blogging is very, very good for SEO, whereas Instagram is not. So there are different types of marketing that can improve other areas of your marketing as well, especially in blogging. Pinterest is another one. Pinterest is basically a search engine. People treat it like social, but it's not social. It's a search engine to find what you're looking for. So that would be another opportunity to put in a ton of images because that's what people want on Pinterest. It really depends on your niche. It also depends on where your ideal client is at. And if you've listened to my podcast, if you've listened to me talk at all, you know, episode number 1 of the podcast, and I did this intentionally, is figuring out your ideal client. And by ideal client, it really drives me crazy every time I hear people talk about how much money do they make? What kind of car do they drive? Y'all, it's not as big of a deal as we think. You know what matters is how you can speak to someone. What are their fears? What are their hopes? What are their dreams? Where do they hang out online? If you are catering to someone who is quite a bit younger, Facebook is probably not going to be your top thing. My son tells me all the time that I had to share something on Facebook. I don't even remember what. And he's like, oh, so now I'm officially old because I'm on Facebook. I'm like, thanks, jerk. Yes, I talk to my kids like that. No, they're not abused. Yes, they are fine. We are good. It will really depend on where your ideal client is at. If they're on Instagram and that is who you're trying to reach, then you can definitely do things on Instagram. And you know what you could even do is tie the two together. So for instance, if you have, let's say, a blog post of 10 items that most people forget on their wedding day that you can pre-pack ahead of time. I'm just making this up. I don't do weddings, but just throwing that out there. Okay. So you have a blog post with 10 things. What I would recommend is doing maybe a carousel post or a reel on Instagram with the first 5, and then tell people to go to the blog post to get the remaining 5, to get numbers 6 through 10. Because what that does is it gives them a little bit of that short form content, which is what social is so good at. And then it will also push them to your website. And quite frankly, I feel like we should all be pushing people to our website, because that is where you can completely control everything. You can control the colors, the brand, the feel, every image that's there. You will never be able to get away from Facebook Blue when you're on Facebook. I mean, until Zuck changes it. I don't know. But that your website is where you can completely control everything. Whereas Instagram, you can't control whether you even show up in someone's feed. You can't control what they see real quick. Maybe they just open it quickly and then they get distracted and they have to leave. Whereas your website is open. Someone opens that page and you have more control over that. Excuse me. So Karina, to answer your question, short answer is yes. Some marketing is definitely better for others, depending on your niche. But it doesn't just depend on your niche. It also depends on where your ideal clients are and the type of content that you're creating as well. So for specifically boudoir photographers, the type of content that does very, very well on TikTok is posing for selfies. I don't want to do that. I don't enjoy that. It feels awful and terrible to me. I'm not interested in that. So I will probably never do that. Maybe a couple here and there, but it's just not my thing. So I do something differently on TikTok, and I do other things on Instagram in Reels and all of that good stuff. So you also, it's a happy medium of what is your niche, who is your ideal client, and what lights you up. Because if you're doing something and you really, really, really hate it, but you're doing it because someone told you to, that energy will come across. I love podcasting. It's one of my favorites. That's probably why I talk so damn long in the podcast. But it is something that is very, very much aligned with me. The videos of teaching people how to pose to take selfies, it's been done. I'm not interested. It's just not my thing. So I show people my studio and I show the fun things that I have. I even posted a video of my son. He likes to speak in languages or in accents that are somewhat ridiculous. And he was helping me open lingerie to put away in the closet. And I have for my studio, it's like a bra that's made out of metal, and he calls it his titty armor. And so he was talking in a Scottish accent about that. Those are the things that I like to post because they're funny. And that's who I relate to. We are going to have inappropriate jokes and laugh and talk about all the weird stuff that you can't normally talk about at work. That's my client, though. That's my brand. That's my niche. And that's who I work with. So finding that happy middle between niche, ideal client, and your personal alignment is where you're going to find that sweet spot. Karina said, last question. Can I market myself without being in front of the camera myself? I don't want to do reels, etc. The short answer is yes, you can. You don't know who the top executive of Nike is. I'm sure. I don't. I never see him. Like, he's not doing reels. He's not doing all that stuff. But I will say that especially for a small business, people tend to hire people before they hire businesses. And so by not being in front of the camera, you are going to make it a little more difficult for yourself. I personally don't love being in front of the camera either. Well, I shouldn't say that. Like, I actually enjoy being in front of the camera, but I do in more of a goofy capacity. That's just me. That's just who I am. My most recent reel was my husband asked me if I wanted to take my crown off. And I was like, this is some bullshit. Those are the reels I like to do, like telling little stories of things that happened. So you don't have to get in front of the camera yourself, but I would really encourage you to try to do so. So even if you're going to do a reel that is just images from your business, or you're going to do reels that are clients, testimonials, things like that, I would really encourage you to every once in a while get in front of the camera yourself. Because, and especially if you are, and I don't know what you do specifically, but since you asked about weddings, if you are a wedding photographer or a boudoir photographer or a newborn photographer, those types of niches specifically, I have said for a long time, carry a higher responsibility. 1, wedding photos, you never get that day back. 2, newborn photos, you never get that squishiness back. And 3, boudoir photos, because you are potentially fucking with someone's self-image and the way that they see themselves. So we have a higher responsibility. Now, what does that mean? That means that when it comes to those specific niches, people want to know who they're dealing with. So if you're a wedding photographer, I want to know who's going to be with me all day on my wedding day. And I will tell you that that's how we hired our wedding photographer. I had narrowed it down to 2 photographers in particular, actually 3, which is a whole nother story because one of them was pretty rude to me, I guess, because I'm not a size 2 and blonde. And 2, the second wedding photographer was also a youth pastor at a church and did not swear. And I knew that saying fuck in front of him would make me feel very uncomfortable because I didn't want to bother him, but I also didn't want to censor myself on my wedding day. And so the person that we actually chose, I knew would be okay with a swear word. I know they like cheese. I know they have a super sarcastic sense of humor. So I actually ended up choosing them based on that. It wasn't based on their photos. They all had good photos. All 3 of them had excellent photos. But I wanted a certain personality with me that day. I didn't want someone that was going to be judging me, someone that was going to make me feel weird about being myself. And that's really key for a lot of businesses and a lot of niches. Even things like, I work with a lot of estheticians too. So I feel like there's 2 groups of people when it comes to estheticians. Like if you're going in for a bikini wax, you either want someone that you know and can talk to, or you want someone that you're never going to fucking see again. Just because it's a very personal thing. But you have to consider, who are you dealing with? Do you want people that know you ahead of time? Because a little bit of vulnerability will go a long way towards reminding your ideal clients that you are human and that you're excited to work with them, but you're still just you hanging out with them on their wedding day, getting amazing photos that they couldn't get elsewhere. So that reminds me, I need to look up my wedding photographers. They're amazing. I adore them. We still talk. We're still friends. So I hope that answers your questions, Karina. If you have any other questions, please let me know. If anyone else has any other questions, please let me know. And Karina, I do want to add one more last thing is about being in front of the camera is I know for myself that I really, really struggle with being in front of the camera because I have built a business on showing people the best version of themselves. And so if I do not look like the best version of myself in front of the camera, I feel that something is off. And I really, really struggle with this. I know I'm not alone because I've talked with some of my friends that are former boudoir photographers, and they struggle with it as well because we see ourselves in front of the camera and we think of all the things that we could fix because we're so used to doing that for other people. And that's not to say it's bad. I'm not saying retouching is bad. I'm all for retouching. You know, today I have a really lovely like zit directly in the middle of my nose. Okay. So I probably am not going to record any reels today, although I probably should. Everyone seems to love the hat. But my point is that we have to get out of that perfectionism and that idea of this pinnacle of what we should look like if we really want to market ourselves authentically. And that doesn't mean that you have to show up like greasy hair, although mine's greasy today, but y'all don't even know because I got my hat on. But you don't have to show up looking a mess. but you also don't have to show up perfectly polished. So where is, again, that happy medium of showing up as yourself and enjoying doing so that you don't have to make sure my hair and makeup is done perfectly every time. Things to think about when it comes to marketing. I'm still working on that last one. I will say I got a new suit in the mail that is bright fucking pink, which is my favorite color. My daughter calls it BFP. And the day that I put that new suit on and I took a video of myself wearing that new suit in my mirror, which was dusty as hell, and I had stuff behind me, and it was not the perfect picture at all. The day that I got that suit and the day that I put it on and I was like dancing in the mirror, totally not perfect. I don't even think I had a shirt on. I think it was just a bra and a jacket and pants. That was the day I was asked to speak in Mexico. That energy affects everything you do. So if you're not comfortable being in front of the camera, it's going to be really difficult to ask your clients to do so. So just something to think about. I know I have been working on that a lot. And it's not even about being self-conscious. It's just about wanting to put out an image that is equal to what I do for my clients. And the reality is that my clients are paying me for a luxury service, a premium service. And if I was paying for that service, I would expect the same. However, a quick Instagram reel is not that service, and that's okay. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Shelly says, yes. Okay, so let me make sure I got the freebies link in there. I got the podcast link in there. I'm trying to think of any other links that you might need. I am going to link to episode 1. I know, episode 1. Like it's old school. I think it's from, I don't even know, a long time ago, but it's still absolutely relevant because knowing your ideal client in and out will help you so much. And these 5 questions, and these are just 5 questions that you can work through, are not about what fucking car someone drives. Just gonna put that out there. Because you know what? Some of my clients who have spent the most drive 10-year-old cars. And some of my clients that are the biggest pain in the ass and don't spend are the ones that come in with thousands of dollars in lingerie. It's not about what they spend. Okay. It's not about what they buy. It's about who they are. Who are you talking to? So listen to that podcast episode. I hope that your new year is starting off beautifully. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to do that linear calendar thing. I did post towards the beginning. I'm going to pin some of these comments. Pin. Oh, I can only pin one. Well, look at that. So I'm going to pin the freebies link. However, check out the sample. It says how I use the sample. It was episode 58 of my podcast. And that will give you an idea of that linear calendar, which is how I plan my year, literally every year. Have an amazing rest of your day. I am so excited to see what you do in the new year. And if you're in Bold Marketing Academy, don't forget we have our call tomorrow. I know some of you are watching. We have our call tomorrow at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, which is early for me. So you know I love you when I'm doing a call at 9 a.m. And we will chat tomorrow for all my BMA students. And if you're not in Bold Marketing Academy, why the heck not? Let me put that link in there too. There is no sales page yet. I know, I'm sorry, but I'm working on it. boldmarketingacademy.com. And I'll probably pin that one. If you're not in there, why not? It is the most affordable option that I have ever had for my courses and for coaching calls. And quite frankly, I don't think that price is going to stick around for long. So if you've been thinking about it, come on in. I can't wait to see you.